Hey guys, it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and welcome to my craft room. This is my Whip It Wednesday video where I show you anything that I've worked on in the craft room this past week, whether I touched it just for a few moments or I've worked on it long enough to finish it. This is one of the projects that I worked on long enough to finish it. When you saw it last week, I was at this point right here. This is the broken rib or mistake rib design. It's a scarf. It's just basically a stitch pattern for knitting that you can easily turn into the scarf. It has a lot of stretch, so you can stretch it and put it around your neck, or you can let it stay scrunched up. When you're wearing it like this, they say that these little grooves and channels here hold in a lot of the heat and will keep your body heat next to you, so you stay nice and warm. Now, I haven't measured to see how long this is. It's about my wingspan from the tip of my hand to the other when I put them out like this. So it's probably about 5.5 feet. It does have a little bit of stretch to it in both directions. So there's plenty of space to wrap it around. Not everyone needs to have a big, long 6 or 7 foot scarf, right? So this is another Christmas present finished up. This is a Red Heart acrylic yarn. A lot of the times when I make gift knits, I like to make sure, unless I know the recipient wants to have something wool that they have to take special care of and wash and everything, I think they're really nice just to have a little bit of an acrylic or an acrylic blend. This is still a reasonably soft scarf. And did you guys know that if you have one of the older Red Hearts that feel a little bit scratchy, that if you soak it in some warm water with hair conditioner, that it softens it right up? Then you can just rinse it out, kind of get all the excess water out of it, wrap it up in a towel, however you tend to take care of your sweaters or something, and just let it lay flat and dry, and then it'll be super soft. Putting the hair conditioner in with it and letting it soak for about a half hour or hour just softens this yarn right up. But this yarn isn't too bad, but you know, some people tend to be a little bit more sensitive to it than others. But Red Heart has come a long way. This skein that I made this from is a little bit older. It's probably about 4 years old. The newer Red Hearts are really soft. And the things like Red Heart Soft and Red Heart Comfort are very, very soft. So acrylic does have its place, especially for people who are used to buying something from Walmart and just throwing it in the washer and dryer. You really wouldn't want to spend a lot of money on a really, really fancy yarn for someone to just throw it in the heat of a dryer, because wool tends to felt and shrink up. So that's another Christmas present done. I spent a little time with Robbie's socks. I've just gone ahead and put 2 more rows on one sock. And this one I probably put about 10 rows on it. I'm really getting close. I'm probably about 20. Yeah, I'm about 20 rows away from starting to heal on this sock. Now that I've finished that scarf as a shipping away Christmas gift, I'm going to go ahead and really concentrate on working on Robbie's socks so I can get these done. The people that live farther away, you've always got to worry about their gifts first, because you got to take into consideration the shipping time and whether or not the post office is going to temporarily misplace your packages. For those that are watching my embroidery, you've already seen this. I've just done a little bit more on the leaves. This past week's stitch of the week was the satin stitch. Other than doing it with the video, I really haven't gotten much farther than just adding a couple little things. But I kind of really like it. 'Tis a season to have red and green, so it's kind of nice to see these colors together. I will sit down with this one day this week and just put another hour or 2 into it and get a lot of the different areas caught up, because most of them are repeat stitches that you're just going to be doing, like a lot of the stem stitches. Get those all ready so that when we actually embroider the flowers and the leaves and stuff, you'll be able to see things a lot better because the baselines of them will already be done. And since we're talking embroidery, I'm just going to go ahead and keep going with that. That pattern, I'll put a link up in the little iCard so you can get all the information on what pattern I'm using. This one is this adorable little well, I guess he's not little. He's the size of my hand. Oh, and can you see how my nails kind of look a little... I don't know if you can tell that there's a little bit of blue underneath them. I had a lovely adventure this morning. I went to go put some clothes in the washer, and apparently there was a container of that liquid RIT dye sitting up on a shelf that somehow with all the lovely construction and windy days and doors slamming, it must have fallen down, and that plastic container that's about this big hit the side of the dryer, and it broke the corner of the container, and there was this country blue dye all down the side of my dryer, on the outside thankfully, all over the hot water heater, and my garage floor is now a beautiful shade of country blue. I cleaned it up the best I can. I got a little bit underneath my nails, but overall it's really not that bad. Anyway, so I'm doing this cardinal embroidery pattern. This one is another one. This is the monthly one for November from Supermom No Cape. I had previously done the pumpkin one from her. When she put this cardinal one up, I got really excited because the cardinal is like our family flower. Many years ago when I was still in high school, my grandparents lived on this one road. Well, they lived there for the longest time, but it was like, let's just say it was something like Southeast 48th or Van Loon or something. Whatever happened, the street name, come to find out, the county said there was another street with the exact same name, so that they had to rename the street. And back then, instead of just picking whatever name they wanted, they let the residents who lived on that road choose the street name. They gave you a few suggestions, but then you could actually put in one of your own. Now, at the time, my grandparents were really the only one that lived there. I think there's only like 7 houses at that time on the street, and they were all like snowbirds. So my grandparents were the only ones living there year round. So they actually got to choose the name of the road. So I thought that was really cool. Back, you know, when you're like 15, 16 years old, being able to name your own street is really kind of cool. I'm 49, and it's still kind of cool. But instead of just using like the family name, my grandparents love cardinals, and there's a lot of cardinals that always came to their area. They had bird feeders out and stuff like that, and it was a lot of they had a wooded preserve around 2 sides of their property, so they had a lot of different wildlife animals that would come there. It was really kind of cool to go there and spend the weekend and stuff. But anyways, they named their road Cardinal Lane. So now there's also that story about a cardinal, that if you see a cardinal in your yard, that it's actually a deceased loved one that's come back down from heaven to visit you, to check in on you. So that since my father and my stepmother and both of my grandparents have all passed, it's kind of really neat just to do a little cardinal embroidery like this. So I'm going to work on this a little bit here and there. There's really not a lot to do because most of the coloring is done by the crayon instead of the floss. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish it up like my other wall hangings and hang it in my craft room. I thought about putting a second one. I thought I could have this one for my grandfather and then put a female one off to the side. But when I looked up the female cardinals, they were more of that yellowy with a red tint and stuff like that. So I thought, well, instead of doing that, I really just wanted to stick with a bright red cardinal. When you look at this one, it kind of almost reminds me of an Oriole with the shape of it and stuff like this, but it's supposed to be a cardinal, and plus now once I do it red, it'll be considered a cardinal, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get this finished all stitched up. I'm just working on the tree right now. As you can see, I still have the brown hanging off. So this is a brand new project. You've never seen it. I traced it all out, I colored in with the crayon, and then I've worked on all the tree over here. It seems to be that time of the year for me to be working on embroidery projects that kind of helps you slow down the pace of the day, because there's so many other things going on in your life that are already like, hurry up, we gotta rush and do this and rush and do that. So much to do that it's nice to just take a breath and relax and work on something that forces you to slow down. Now, while looking for the embroidery hoop for the Cardinal project, I came across this one that I totally forgot about. This is some of my favorite embroidery fabric because I like it's white, but it's not straight white. I like that it has this swirl on it. I like when they have little stars and little hearts and stuff like that. It just adds that little extra so it's not a flat piece. Now, as you can see, this one was crumpled all up into one of my project bags. I don't even have snaps on this. But it was shoved into a bookshelf somewhere. You can see that I've worked on the tree already and I've got it colored in and I've been outlining it. What may be hard to see is there's a snowman here and then another one here that I've colored in. It has this nice red frame all around it. And this snowman is flying a kite. But what's really fun is the kite is a giant snowflake. And the snowflake kind of goes outside of the frame of the picture. So I thought that was really, really neat. I'm definitely going to do embroidery all around the frame just to frame it off so that it actually pops a little. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the snowman. I'm probably going to have to blend a light blue or something in with the white so that you can actually see them popping against the white fabric. Because when you're doing a snow scene, it's not always the best idea to put it on white, but you can mix your colors and make it pop out a little bit more. I'd love to tell you what the pattern is for this. I have no idea. I don't remember where I got it. I think it's a free pattern, but I could have purchased it somewhere. I was doing the little, the waist knots, the away knots, where you put a knot over here and then you embroider it and then you just pop it off. And I found one more of those knots. So I want to bring this, I haven't worked on it at all this week, but I just wanted to bring it out and show you guys what it looked like before I did anything. I'm not even going to worry about ironing it yet because I know I traced the design out with a mechanical pencil, so that's fine. But I don't want to worry about any of the crayon or anything right now, and I don't want to have anything disappear at all. So once I put it in the hoop, it will stretch it out and it'll be fine. And then when it's all done, I'll give it that final press and everything will look great. Oh, in case you're curious, look at the back of my Christmas tree. That is a bunch of floss everywhere. I have the little interfacing back here that I like to use, a really thin one, so that you actually can't see any of those threads really too much going back there. Now I can see that one. Oh wait, no, that's the green tree right here. So yeah, so you really don't see anything going through there. So this works really well, even though it's so thin. It doesn't take much to block it out. This one I definitely want to work on. I want to work on all of them. You know, there's just so many. I just want to work on everything. But I want to get this one done so I can have it up in time for Christmas. Because it does have the outside tree Christmas decorated, but it still can work into January and February. Although I tend to change things out for February because it's Valentine's Day. I've been working on the Creative Cruel Stitchery, where it's, dear God, be good to me, the sea is so wide and my boat is so small. I spent a lot of time on this. I actually spent 2 days working on this. And when I say 2 days, I mean a few hours throughout the day, probably about 4 or 5 hours. And I did a little experiment. And I was like, because like I said, this is coming in a little bit. And I was very, very careful, and I wanted to see if I was doing it and creating this by my stitches. So in a lot of these sections, as you can see, I didn't go completely back and forth. I put this one, and then I went down, and I went this way, and I went down. So you don't have a lot of the floss on the back there, and it still ended up pulling it in. So, like I said, once it gets all stretched out, it's going to look really nice. And I started in down here on the clouds and the boat. This part's going to be really fun. There's a lot of tight little stitches through here, but it's going to add just that much color. And it's going to add all a little bit of fun down here and finish it off really nicely. So that's been coming along that way. I'd finished all of this section and then down here. So that was a good bit of work this week. It's another one of those projects that you'd like to get done before Christmas so I can ship it back to my customer that has asked me to finish working on this for them. And then in the quilting world, my main focus was working on the wonky stars for my daughter. I ended up getting 60 of these done. These took me a couple days to do in total completion because even though they're tiny little blocks, they're just 6 inches unfinished, that they took forever. I'd already had the 9 patch parts cut out. I already had these 4 white background squares and the center square and all of these whites and everything in here. So I was just stitching these down like I showed you in a previous video. So you have to stitch it down, then you have to trim it and press it, and then you go back and stitch this corner down and trim it and press it, and then you have to do that 4 times around. So it took me forever. But it was really nice to sit at the sewing machine and just go and go and go. I did learn that it's really cool that my new sewing machine has that where you push your heel down on the foot pedal and it cuts the thread for you. I use that a lot when I cut my thread with the machine automatically when I'm quilting, but I find that I don't do it a lot when I'm just sewing because I like to bring the thread up so I don't get the little bird's nest on the back when I'm sewing pieces. I know, you guys, leaders and enders, that is my goal for next year. I'm going to set up like a postage stamp quilt, not that small, maybe a whole bunch of 2.5-inch blocks, or maybe I'll cut some triangles or something like that and do half square triangles, or a mixture of both. But I don't have it set up yet. So without the leaders and enders, I have to constantly bring my thread up. I don't want to cut it off. And then when I'm sewing, I don't want to accidentally, because I tend to put my whole foot on the pedal, and when I'm done sewing the one block and I'm bringing the next one over, I kind of rest my foot down like this, and I kept cutting the thread all the time. So I went through the machine, and there's an easy way to just turn it off so you don't accidentally constantly cut off your thread with your foot pedal. So then it went a lot smoother on day 2 when I got rid of that function, and I didn't have to keep constantly lifting my foot up off of the foot pedal. I still have the little button on my machine for the scissors that I can push at any time, so it's no big deal. So I got all these done. Now if you watched my Talk to Me Tuesday yesterday, you already know that I'm decided to put some rail fence blocks in between. So I think I'm going to do like a checkerboard. I'm going to have a star and then the rail fence and the star. And I'm thinking I'm going to have them all go this way. And a rail fence block, or I'm pretty sure it's called a rail fence block. You take a strips of fabric, and I'm going to use 3 2.5-inch strips, stitch them together, and I'm going to cut it all down to a 6-inch block to match these. So then you'll have a star, and you'll have 3 stripes, and a star, and 3 stripes, and then the next rows will alternate. So if you had the stripes here, you'd have a star there. And I think that's going to beef this up just perfectly for my daughter's bed runner. Because I've said before, I don't have any more of this broadcloth, is that what it's called? I don't know why I have a hard time with that word. So I don't have any more of this white broadcloth, and I'm not going to buy any more. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that alternating, and that way it won't be too white, and she won't have to worry about it getting very dirty. So that's all I worked on in the craft room this week. I did get a new postcard. This one is from Home Marina. Look at all those boats. I was just checking to see if this was a helicopter or something, because I thought that was a strange design. But it's a little oops on the card that when it was going through the machines, it probably just took a little bit of the paint off of the postcard or the ink off. But I think it looks really cool anyways. It just looks kind of funny bird coming down, or a helicopter. But there's Home Marina. And the Home Marina is on the River Humber on the east coast of Yorkshire, England. So that's what a marina, some marinas over in England look like. They really don't look any different much from what we have here, do they? A boat's a boat. Now the viewer that sent this is also working on some scrappy blocks. She got 35 12.5-inch scrappy blocks all stitched up. That's a lot of blocks. Congratulations, you worked really hard, because I know working on scrappy blocks, you think you're doing really great, and then you look at your pile and you've got like 6 or 10 of them, and you're like, hey, I've been working on this for hours. But I think anytime you're using up the scraps in your craft room, you're doing an amazing job. Now, do you remember this mug rug that I received as a gift? And then I was saying how awesome these buttons are, and that the smile on the pumpkin could be turned upside down as a bat, which was what my hubby noticed. I thought that was really cool. Now, I love my mug rug. We're still, until Thanksgiving, I'm going to keep hanging this up in the craft room because pumpkins work for Thanksgiving. I don't care that there's a ghost. They get hungry too, and they deserve to have a nice Thanksgiving meal. But the reason I'm showing you this is I was generously sent 2 sets of buttons for myself. So when I go ahead and make some pumpkins for myself for next year, I will have the buttons to do it. Now, even if I decide to make a mouth out of felt and use this part for bats, that'll be fun too. I haven't seen these at any of my stores, but I'm going to go head out to Joann soon, though, to see if they have anything fun for the Christmas season coming up. I'd like to get some of those little, they have the little Christmas lights that you, like, you know, like you hang up on your tree, but they're little buttons or beads and stuff like that, and I would like to pick up some of those. Those are fun. But the other thing I wanted to show you is I want to show you whenever this person sends me stuff, she always decorates her envelopes. So fun. She's got all these different sewing stamps. I really like the scissors and the tomato pincushion. Look, there's a little embroidery hoop. Those are really fun stamps. Little markers around. I think, do you make greeting cards and stuff like that too? I don't remember if I've seen those on your Instagram. But look, there's even the crazy lady up here. So I thought that was really fun. I mean, she doesn't just send out an envelope. She sends out something fun decorated. Oh, and my P.O. box is down below in the description box. So I just blocked out her address. So you could see mine. It's okay. So that's everything I worked on in the craft room this week, and a couple ideas of what I'm going to be working on next week. We are really getting into the holiday season now, so I'm going to try to get as much done as I can. It seems like every time I turn around, I've just got to go ahead and run out to the grocery store for something. Our local grocery store, Publix, is one of them. It's actually our high-end grocery store here. They had their turkeys on sale for 49 cents a pound. Now, I don't know what they are in your area, but that is an amazing price here. The butterballs went on sale recently for 89 cents a pound, and that's a really good price for them. But for 49 cents a pound, I got 2 turkeys for my house, and my kids got 2 turkeys for their house, because we love turkey sandwiches after Thanksgiving. So I hope you guys are at least got your Thanksgiving list made so you know what you're going to be purchasing. Or are you guys the type of family that likes to go out and eat somewhere else? Do you go to a buffet or a restaurant for Thanksgiving? I've seen several YouTubers who like to go to different buffets. They do big fancy Thanksgiving feast. That way everyone gets a little bit of what they want instead of the mom or dad trying to cook everything that everybody likes. Because when it comes to a holiday, I like to make sure that my kids each have their favorite item on their Thanksgiving plate. I want to thank everyone for all the likes and the comments on my videos, and I want to thank all my subscribers, any of the new ones, or any of you guys that have stuck around with me for a while. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.